Good late Tuesday, early Wednesday. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now, giving you a look at that current Doppler radar picture across North Florida, South Georgia, 12:50 a.m. here early Wednesday morning. So in there, some showers here across our viewing circle, something we haven't really seen too much here lately. I mean, you have to go back about a month really for that much rain here across our region. So that's something that's kind of a change here, but nothing severe. So that's the good news. There's a coastal flooded advisory scenario here for some of our counties. So that's something we've been seeing here. Some of these patterns here, you get some of that onshore type of flow here, but something that we're not too concerned with. But we'll continue to watch it as we're looking at things. But you do see the showers here. I mean, some heavier accent as we get toward at least parts of north central Florida right now. So let's go ahead and zoom on in. You can see here toward parts of Bradford and Alachua counties getting into that light to moderate rainfall here. Temperatures in the 60s. So kind of just a cool rain pattern what we were seeing there on that Tuesday continue to some degree on this Wednesday and into Thursday, but maybe a little bit more concentrated at times here, and maybe a thunderstorm coming out of some of this. But right now, not really expecting severe weather, at least in our local area here. So that's the good news. Probably not even across the region in general. Maybe there was some flash flood warnings, and maybe either or toward either and. I mean, even you might have a situation where we have flash flood warnings there toward the Florida Panhandle further on out, and maybe even toward South Florida, where it actually be a little more likely here, it would seem, because we have two low pressure systems here set on up on it. It's a kind of a unique situation as we look at the rainfall over the last 12 hours. Some of these areas in that lighter blue getting closer toward an inch there as we get in there between Brooker and Fairbanks here on that really local level. But we'll go ahead and zoom back out a bit. You see out toward Brantford there, it was showing up for a second, but then may over about an inch there in the last 12 hours there, and that even lighter blue shade there on the screen on our rainfall estimates over the last 12 hours or so. I'll zoom out even more. You can see some of that rain out toward the western Florida Panhandle, even more so towards South Florida, already beginning a little bit here with that scenario in general there, when we're talking about a situation that has been a little bit more potentially dangerous in terms of a flash flooding threat here ultimately, as there is a moderate risk on that Wednesday time frame, which extends into technically early Thursday for some excessive rainfall. So that's a pretty high risk there of some flash flooding concern. As said, where they had 3-4 inches already around Fort Lauderdale. We know what happened earlier this year down there. Right now, just some scattered showers, so nothing too concerning at the moment, but a lot warmer down there. So a little bit more organized of a setup there, really, as we're looking at things, as we're just kind of giving you an idea, getting an idea of what's going on. Here's that thunderstorm outlook. This outlook here, it looks like it has been updated here as we're looking ahead toward that Wednesday, and that light green areas where thunderstorms would be more likely to develop or not. Again, we're expecting severe weather here, so you don't really see that too much in the water covered area, with the exception there. If you see there, some of these coastal areas, I'll zoom in real quick around Cedar Key maybe, and then around areas there around South Chaffee as we get into our parts of Culliff County there, and then Carabel and Apalachicola and Franklin County. I know it's not that exact, but we haven't had that much rain as we've talked about lately, so rumbles of thunder might catch you off guard. That's where that would be more likely to occur here, that lightning threat. And again, the flash flooding more so toward either the west and or the south here in our look at things. So again, just kind of giving you guys that idea as we go ahead and zoom on out a little bit. You can see some of that moisture in the Gulf kind of developing there, south of New Orleans. That's with one area of low pressure, and again, a second area of low pressure. We'll actually see that in the tropical weather outlook because that sets up just a bit there. And that's something that'll be impacting more of South Florida here, at least early on in the short term. There's some uncertainty, so just keep an eye on things. Things could change a little bit more quickly than normal because it's kind of an odd setup here. We have two lows, in play. So if something does change, we'll let you know here with the very latest. But right now, things are looking like they're going to kind of split a difference here of our area with the worst going again more south and then somewhat so with another low pressure to the west here. So I know we were going to see that Weather Prediction Center rainfall forecast, but there were some issues of that there coming off of their source, so it was not showing the latest numbers, the official numbers there, unfortunately. But just kind of giving you guys an idea here as a describer per se. So with the description of things, so just kind of letting you guys know that way. But I know. So another thing that kind of was interesting, I was looking there the other day on Doppler, and Saturday we had some rain around Bradford County and Stark, and Jacksonville radar wasn't really picking up on it very well. So that's just something to keep in mind here at times. There's some different angles. Sometimes things kind of get a little bit missed there. Sometimes the Moody radar was so. This is something to kind of keep in mind, even in severe weather sometimes. Not that it wouldn't pick up storms in severe weather, but I know we've had issues with things sometimes not being picked up in Bradford County, and it's just kind of odd to see that here happen there late Saturday morning, that Veterans Day morning there. Wasn't really showing the rain around Stark when it was raining, and that Moody radar was. So something's going on there. That's kind of interesting to mention here. Hopefully, that doesn't kind of become a problem here when we're looking at severe weather as we look ahead, because that'd be a lot more important if we had like rotation or something, which we haven't had anything like that since about a month ago or so, anywhere in our covered area. But again, just kind of something to throw out there as we go ahead and show you the tropical weather outlook now. Let's go ahead and go to the other source if we can. We'll go ahead and look at the graphics for this early Wednesday NHC update. A 50% chance of development further down in the south, there in the Gulf. That's another area, not the one that we're looking at here toward the Gulf. So exactly 3 lows we're kind of watching here in a way with that development potential for impacts here, not tropically with the one there closer toward area south of New Orleans. The other one, though, that'll be affecting South Florida, 10% chance of tropical development here in a 7-day period. And you see that one further south, 50%. That one's to get further away, though. Not really have that direct impact. It wouldn't seem at this point here. I know things get tricky with all these different numbers, and we'll watch things just in case things shift around here, because it is kind of awkward with all these different areas here of spin on the Roy larger scale level. So again, let's go ahead and get on the word names though. Vincent Whitney, the next two, and the last two on that episode on the list. Hurricane season only running for a couple more weeks, though, officially out there in the Atlantic Basin. So, again, we'll never forget Dahlia here toward our region as that storm hit. It's been about 2.5 months here as we look out toward areas like Horseshoe Beach and those areas like Cedar Key as well, Perry, Dallin Park there. You kind of get the idea as we get further out toward the west. But let's get into something a little bit lighter here, really a lot lighter, and that's college football. In terms of that top 7 here, what I'm thinking is pretty similar to the committee's rankings, and really just a couple notes here, and they involve Michigan, really. My change here was I had Michigan down at 5 last week. I moved them ahead of Washington this week since they did go on the road to beat Penn State. And then that was my change, and then that's the only difference between me and the committee. They have Michigan ahead of FSU right now. My Seminoles 10-0, rivalry game, always tough when you play the Miami Hurricanes there, whether it's in Tallahassee or in South Florida. Those rivalry games are always tough. I mean, just like FSU and Florida will be here, I would think, next Saturday night in prime time in Gainesville. There's 7 o'clock kick next Saturday. There, Florida State at Florida there. As we get past that Thanksgiving, that Black Friday, it'll be that Saturday night there in the swamp. And that'll be a tough test there. As long as nobody gets hurt, cross our fingers here. It'll be Jordan Travis versus Graham Mertz here. Talking about nobody gets hurt in this week's games. As we're looking there, of course, Florida has a really tough one going to Missouri. And FSU, a game there where hopefully it'll be one. You have a big enough lead when you're playing a team like North Alabama that you're able to kind of get the guys there that are coming up in the years to come some reps here. Honestly, it'll be the last chance to do that probably here this year. In this season, you would think. So guys like T. Rodemaker there, see what they can do there. And hopefully it'll be a situation where that's what the second half is all about there against North Alabama. That game Saturday night at 6:30. FSU at home against North Alabama on the CW, your local CW affiliates here. We'll have that one, including a CW17 there in Jacksonville. It's 20.2 over there in Gainesville, the Gainesville CW. In Tallahassee, it's WTLF there. That's the call letters for the CW over that way. It's a digital sub-channel there at WALV in the Albany area. It's just kind of giving you guys reference points of where to go for that game. FSU against North Alabama Saturday night at 6:30 on the CW. Tom Wormy and James Bates will have that call, and then the Gators play on the ESPN Family Network Saturday night there in Missouri, there in Columbia, Missouri, against who's now the number 9 Tigers there. They've really been looking pretty good. They lost to Georgia and they lost to LSU. Otherwise, what a great season for them. One of the best they've had in years. As we go ahead and look now at that planning forecast, North Florida, South Georgia here over the next 7 days. So you can see that 60% chance of rain there on that Wednesday, 60% on that Thursday. So quite a bit of rain chances around our different areas, but probably in general, we're talking about a pattern that's not going to just give you flash flooding here. I mean, we're talking an inch, 2 inches, maybe a few areas of 3 inches here. That's generally what we're looking for. Some areas, very isolated, may get a little bit higher than that, but that's generally the numbers we're talking here. So just to know, to help us with some drought concerns that we have in our local area. Now, different story back out west, and especially down towards South Florida. We're talking about areas around Miami could get several inches. I mean, we're talking about some areas half a foot plus here, so gotta be really careful as we're looking toward Miami and Fort Lauderdale. I already had a lot on that Tuesday, and we're gonna have those chances remain there higher down that way with more concern for flash flooding. Not really expecting severe weather here. Down there be in terms of excessive rainfall, probably. I guess you couldn't completely write a strong to severe storm somewhere in the mix here if things kind of change, if things wrap up with a low quicker than expected before maybe it kind of moves away from Florida. So just keep an eye out for things just in case they change here. It's a little bit of an odd forecast, iffy in some ways here, but you see the temperatures warming up some for Friday, Saturday there. Rain chances may linger a little bit there. So keep an eye on that. I'm a little higher on Saturday than what some of the other guidance was kind of showing us here because I'm seeing a couple things, GFS model starting to hint on maybe a little more rain there than some of our other numerical information that we've been looking at. So that's something to kind of keep our eyes on here. Just got to be kind of careful with that. As we've looked, the trend has been a little bit wetter maybe for Saturday, but really it's more about Wednesday and Thursday here. That's when our bigger concern will be there in terms of the rain around. And then you see Sunday really drying on out. You see the cool air in the morning, 49 degrees there on that Sunday morning, going up to 73. So we'll kind of look at that there and see that you kind of get that cool air in for Monday morning as well before another system. And that it's very early and it may not even happen this way, but in theory, that's a more favorable setup for severe weather, maybe a squall line type setup. As you guys, unfortunately, it could be a situation that interferes with folks traveling as you're ready for Thanksgiving there. That rushing kind of period there, where you're kind of rushing around. Just gotta be careful there. Just gotta be really careful as you're kind of in a hurry maybe. You could have some storms that could be an issue. Might be something to turn the logo red for next week, but it's really, really, really early on that. It may not even set up that way, but just the very early information is saying. So again, we'll just keep on looking at that there as we get further ahead into toward the timeline. Some breezy weather here in this pattern. We had some gusty winds on that Tuesday. Still kind of seeing that here as we look ahead. So we'll just continue to look at that there and just kind of see how things are going there in terms of the overall setup. We'll just keep on looking at things there as the timeline does continue along. So again, that's kind of the storyline there right now. Let me see if there are any questions or comments from any of the viewers here at home. Let me go ahead and just see if there's anything that's kind of note here. I don't really see anything right now. So that's the good news in that regard. In terms of no concerns, it seems here from the viewers at home. So that's kind of the storyline right now. Let me go ahead and go back on over to our overview. You can see some different things here like that. I'll put our other information on here so you can see what I'm talking about. You see that low there, that spin in the Gulf. We're going to have another area we'll be watching for as well as we get you saw on the tropical weather outlook. That one was showing up, the one in the yellow. And those are going to be your rainmakers here. So that's something to kind of be looking at here as we look ahead into toward the timeline as we kind of progress here with things. So let's go on to our satellite here of this, and it'll kind of say the same thing. They take the radar off and kind of see what we're talking about. So, again, that's kind of the storyline there. Let's go ahead and go back on over to this view here and pull up radar again. It's just some wet roads right now, so be careful, some slick roads. Have that umbrella on hand here. We'll keep watching things. But again, not really expecting severe weather. You see around Ocala around I-75, maybe a little bit heavier downpour situation there south of town, closer toward the communities like Shady there and west of Bellevue, and you can see there around Romeo, the south there of Williston, a little bit heavier rain there, and some of the acting been kind of erratic in its movement, but as I kind of move it up there, you can kind of see northerly movement of this is what we're kind of tracking at the moment anyway with some of the activities. So again, we'll be keeping our eyes on things. I have another update on Thursday night. I know we'll be looking at some of this football game forecast, and hopefully things will be pretty dry for those as we look ahead and get a drier pattern in by then. But just stay tuned on things here in case something were to change. Some models have been a little more aggressive with a low pressure spin, and that could change some of our numbers a little and cause for more rain and maybe a small severe chance somewhere in the Sunshine State. So, we'll continue to watch things. Some gustier winds have been a storyline as well. We've had some wind advisories here towards the Tallahassee counties, and we have that windy kind of pattern in play here at points and portions of the viewing circle. So just kind of stay tuned there. We're watching things for our 62 counties here across the region. For now, though, we thank you so much for tuning in here to look at all the different platforms that I'm on. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. So you have the website and all the different informational details with the sources available there. And then you have even interactive radar on that radar tab when we're not on the air. So keeping you guys covered for now. Have a great night, everybody.